Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a topic you've probably heard a million times if you've spent any time in a modern workplace. Yep, we're talking about emotional intelligence, or EI for short. Right now, in the corporate world, this is basically seen as the ultimate superpower, isn't it? It's that highly sought-after trait that takes someone from just being a good employee to a truly great leader. It helps people navigate really complex interpersonal dynamics with absolute grace. It's universally praised, heavily trained, and almost always listed as the absolute top soft skill you need to succeed.
But here's a question for you. Is emotional intelligence always a good thing? I know, it sounds kind of crazy to even ask that, right? I mean, how could being perfectly in tune with your emotions, and everyone else's for that matter, possibly backfire? Well, stick with me, because as we're going to see in today's explainer, there might actually be a pretty massive hidden catch to this universally praised skill.
Section 1. The core skills.
So, looking at the research, emotional intelligence basically boils down to 5 main pillars: self-awareness, social skills, optimism, emotional control, and flexibility. Now, it's actually really cool how these traits play together. Like, emotionally intelligent folks have this deep well of optimism. It's a mental attitude that keeps them actively energized and moving toward their goals even when things go totally sideways. They've also got incredible emotional control, meaning they handle stress evenly and navigate highly charged conflicts calmly. Add in flexibility, and they can easily adapt to changes by developing clear problem-solving options. But out of all 5, the true heavy lifters are those first 2.
Let's zoom in on self-awareness. This is all about knowing exactly how you feel, what motivates you or demotivates you, and crucially, how you affect the people around you. By constantly self-evaluating, emotionally intelligent people get to know their own emotional landscape inside and out. They can actually predict how they're going to react to different situations. Because of this, they're almost never caught off guard by their own feelings. They've totally mastered their internal world. And that brings us perfectly to the next pillar, social skills. If self-awareness is about mastering the inside, social skills are all about mastering the outside. People with high EI relate exceptionally well with others. They're intense listeners, and they naturally adapt the way they communicate to fit the diverse backgrounds and specific needs of whoever they're talking to. They show real, genuine compassion. By closely observing people, they totally get what others are feeling. Plus, by analyzing how their own actions land with people, they can continually fine-tune their behavior and communication to connect even better. Now, because these skills are an absolute game changer, organizations are actively hunting for them. Building EI is a huge focus in the corporate world right now. Companies are rolling out training programs specifically designed to boost these exact traits through group activities, seminars, tests, and exercises. But it's not all boardroom training, you know. The data actually shows that EI naturally improves with age and maturity too. Just by accumulating life experience, we naturally get better at reading the room as we get older.
Section 2. The dark side. Let's see what happens when AI is flipped. All right, so this leads us to something pretty unexpected. Normally, we only think about the positive outcomes, right? Relating well with others, showing compassion, all the good stuff. But there is a stark, frankly ironic reality here. Honing your emotional skills also makes you vastly better at disguising your true feelings and manipulating people. If you think about the logic, it makes total sense. If you are exceptionally good at controlling your own emotions, well, you possess the exact skill set required to completely fake them.
And that is where things get tricky. What happens when these skills are used maliciously? Well, when leaders use EI for self-serving interests, they can literally tug at our heartstrings to motivate us against our own best interests. Because a highly emotionally intelligent person knows exactly what you're feeling, which means they know exactly which emotional buttons to push. When someone's motives are entirely self-serving, high emotional intelligence stops being a tool for compassion, and instead it becomes this precision weapon for manipulation. And social scientists are actively starting to document this dark side.
Section 3. Emotional manipulation. The dark side in action.
I really want to share some fascinating emerging research with you on this. It was led by a University of Cambridge professor named Joachim Menges. His team looked into what we can call the emotion effect. Basically, they wanted to see exactly what happens inside an audience's brain when they're listening to a highly emotional leadership speech.
Okay, so the findings here are absolutely wild. When a leader delivered a highly inspiring, highly emotional speech, the audience actively became less likely to scrutinize the message. They actually remembered less of the objective content. But here's the real kicker. Because they were so deeply moved by the speaker's delivery, they actually claimed to recall more. They thought they remembered the facts, but in reality, they only remembered the feelings.
So this brings us to a pretty sobering conclusion.
Leaders who master emotions can effectively rob us of our capacity to reason. By overwhelming us with perfectly calibrated emotional appeals meticulously designed by someone with sky-high emotional intelligence, they completely bypass our logical brains. And if a manipulative leader's values are out of step with our own, the results of this cognitive bypass can be absolutely devastating.
To illustrate the extreme endpoint of this, the source material points to historical observations of Adolf Hitler. One observer actually noted that his persuasive impact came directly from his ability to strategically express emotions. The observer wrote, "He would tear open his heart, and these emotions affected his followers to the point that they would stop thinking critically and just emote." It's a stark example, but it perfectly demonstrates the exact mechanism we're talking about, using massive emotional output to cause an audience to completely stop critical thinking, abandoning reason just to emote right alongside the speaker.
Section 4. Rule your feelings. The ultimate takeaway.
As we wrap up, I want to share this powerful ancient quote from Publius Cyrus. He said, "Rule your feelings, lest your feelings rule you." I think that brilliantly encapsulates everything we've unpacked today. Look, at the end of the day, emotional intelligence is fundamentally a neutral tool. It's just a profound understanding of the human emotional operating system. But because other people can use that exact system to bypass our logic, we have an absolute necessity to maintain our critical reasoning. We've got to stay keenly aware of our own feelings so we aren't just swept away by somebody else's strategically crafted emotional appeals.
So I'm going to leave you with a final, provocative thought to chew on as you go about your day. Are your emotions currently serving you, or are they being manipulated by someone else? The next time you find yourself feeling incredibly moved by a speech, a sales pitch, or a charismatic leader, take a step back, re-engage that logical brain of yours, scrutinize the message, and make absolutely sure that your emotions are truly your own. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.